Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. There's a lot in this world you should know, and loving life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then loving life will guide you.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and welcome to tonight's live stream. Now, first a little bit of admin, and I need some feedback from you. Last month we had a trial daily email broadcast with all new updates on the Loving Life TV platform, including new videos by contributing channels, forum articles, and upcoming live streams to all registered subscribers on Loving Life TV, which is tens of thousands. I had emails from several people who said that they had multiple copies sent to them, despite the fact I only sent out one. I understand that this issue has now been fixed. That was one of the main reasons why we stopped the trial broadcast. But apparently that issue has now been fixed. I'm asking the family this. If you'd like to see the daily email that appears in your email box in the morning, every morning, restarted, please put 1 in the side chat. If not, please put 2. Tonight I speak to Col Franz Jooste about your and your family's safety. With the economic freedom fighters apparently planning a protest against the Indian community in Phoenix, Durban tomorrow, and the fractured ANC a riot on the 10th in KwaZulu-Natal, we need some advice on this issue. Please remember to subscribe to Loving Life on YouTube and to register on lovinglifetv.com, the platform we are transitioning to be kept informed. Okay, I see in the side chat that the family want the daily emails restarted, so we will, from tomorrow morning, you will have the email in your mailbox, but you have to be registered on lovinglifetv.com to get the email, otherwise we can't get it to your email box. If you have any questions for Franz, please put them in the side chat, and I will answer those or put those to Franz a little bit later. Let me get Franz on. Here we go. Oh, shit, wrong one. Sorry, guys, that was the wrong one. Let me try again. Apologies. I've been so busy here in the background. Col Franz Jooste to pick up, and we'll get the show on the road.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Franz. How are you?
Yes, there you are.
I'm here now. Yeah. Franz, I can't see you at the moment.
Okay, fine. But do I have to put in the meeting link?
No. Just put your camera on, and you'll be fine.
Okay, all right, fine.
Okay. While you're just putting your camera on, I just want to address everybody who's joined us. Please remember to subscribe to Loving Life to be kept informed, and please remember to register on the platform we are transitioning to called lovinglifetv.com. Now, there you are, Franz. Now I see you. That's much better. Can you move your camera down slightly, because you're a bit low in the camera.
Down slightly, like this.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's excellent.
Okay.
Excellent. Franz, thank you so much for joining us tonight. The timing couldn't be better when you consider the mess that South Africa's in, and especially with what the EFF have planned in KZN tomorrow in Phoenix, and also the suggested riots on the 10th. We'll get to those just now. What I want to do to start off with is find out a little bit about yourself and your involvement in this type of work before we go into the various areas.
Okay. I've been in the citizen force in South Africa for a couple of years. The citizen force is not like the army. It's much more casual. And it used to be the Commandos. And then they disbanded the Commandos, and the Commandos safeguarded each and every district in South Africa. And I was involved in that.
Right. Okay. So is that the organization called Kommandokorps, or that was established in 1990?
No, we formed a new organization, the Kommandokorps, but it's basically similar to the citizen force. But we've registered it as a company. So
right.
We're running it as a company.
Okay, and which cities do you have it established in?
Well, we've got a couple of towns in the Transvaal and some in the Free State where we're doing this. But it's only starting now after this thing that happened in KwaZulu-Natal and in Gauteng, that the people are getting interested in it now.
Right. Okay. Well, look, let's go through the various ways that people can protect themselves. And let's start off with, look, here in Australia, we have a thing called neighborhood watches, and you have them in South Africa too. Tell us about neighborhood watches, how people get involved in them if they aren't involved in anything. Just give us a bit of a background to neighborhood watches. Okay,
neighborhood watches is also a very casual sort of form of a civil defense organization, which they form in neighborhoods, in towns, and then also they've got plot watches, where they do the same thing on plots, and then they've got the farm watches just in connection with the farm murders and everything. They're doing this, and we are starting watch groups now, what we call watch groups. And as these watch groups grow, we will form commandos eventually.
Right. Now with these watch groups, okay, I'm talking about farm watches, neighborhood watches, and the watch groups. How can people who are listening in tonight get involved? How can they become part of one that's established, or how can they set up one?
Well, it's just, you have to get involved with your neighbors. You have to get involved with the organizations around you, because one cannot safeguard people in another province or another district.
Yeah, it's a community thing.
You have to do it around you. Yeah, so people must know each other much better. Get involved with your neighbors. Get involved with your ambulance service, your neighborhood watch, your fire guard service, everything.
Right. Now, is there a website on the internet that people can go to which gives them ground rules as to how to set up a community watch group?
Yeah. We've got the www.commando. Commando is with a K, not a C.
Yeah.
Commando, and then that dash, corps, KORPS.
Yeah.
.co.za.
Okay, I'm just going to drop that into the side chat. Guys, if you can just test this to make sure that it works okay. So what you're saying, Franz, is that if someone's interested in becoming involved in a Kommandokorps or they want to find out information so they can set one up, they can go to this website.
They can go to this website and get the information, but they have to contact their neighbors, and to form a watch group, they have to do it with their neighbors.
Sure.
And then we can show them the steps from there on. We can show them the steps.
Right. Well, look, it's a critically important thing at this time. So what you're saying, in effect, is that website is like the starting place if they're interested in setting up a community group in their community.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, before we get on to the police side, which is a complete shambles in South Africa, okay, we'll cover that in a minute. But one of the areas that is very, very important for people, and I'm sure that you have some advice on this, is prepping. You know, people having food that'll last a long time in their pantry, good, clean water that they can use for up to a month. Tell us about the prepping side of things, including perhaps basic things like arms and ammunition, and just so they can protect themselves.
Yeah, we've been warning people for about a couple of years now, and say that you must see that you can supply your own electricity. You must have gas bottles. You must have extra food, tin food, and that sort of things, where you can survive on your own without the electricity of the country, because the electricity in this country, we've got load shedding permanently. Every week we've got load shedding, so one or other time it's going to break down, and then you must survive on your own and not on the network, the electricity network of the country, which is Eskom.
Right. Okay. Now, just so people are aware, we've got about 350 people watching at the moment. Just so people are aware, on our lovinglifetv.com channel, we have a very, very good contributing channel called South African Prepper. And in there's a huge amount of videos and advice on what to prep, how you can do it yourself stuff, a whole lot of stuff there that's in the contributing channels on lovinglifetv.com. So if you want to learn more about prepping, please go and visit lovinglifetv.com. At the top, click on contributing channels and then scroll through. You've got about 20 different contributing channels in there at this stage. We've only just started that aspect of our new platform. Now, let's get back to the current situation, Franz. We have a very serious situation happening right now in Phoenix, in Durban. Now, we have a large number of Indian subscribers to Loving Life on YouTube and lovinglifetv.com. And several, I'm sure, will be watching tonight because they would be worried about their safety after the posts that have been put out by the economic freedom fighters in recent days in social media. What's your advice to people in Phoenix right now? I mean, clearly they mustn't panic, but what's your advice to them?
Well, the same advice that I gave you now around neighborhood watches, and I believe that the Indians and also the Zulus are also forming watch groups, neighborhood watches, and everything to safeguard themselves and not relying on the police.
Right. Okay. And I guess one of the things that was really interesting about what happened with the riots and the looting last month was that it was completely non-racial. When it came to the cleanup and stuff like that, you had all these different racial groups working together. And I think that was a very positive part of, well, if you look at the negativity of how those looters tried to destroy KwaZulu-Natal.
Did you ask a question around it?
Yeah. I said,
like
what are your feelings about the various racial groups working together on this when it comes to forming a community watch group?
Yeah, I think when there's sort of an emergency, you will always get people, even if it's a small accident or so. You'll always get people working together.
Right. Okay. Now, let's talk about the police, because let's face it, the police in South Africa are not doing their job. Often they're involved in the looting. We've got plenty of video evidence of that. Their job is supposed to be safeguarding our families and the neighborhoods, but clearly they're not doing that anymore. Do you think the police are capable of safeguarding the citizens of South Africa?
Scott, no, definitely not. They are not capable of safeguarding us. Most of the time, they do not have vehicles. Most of the time, the staff, they tell the staff to do so. They've got lack of ambition and discipline. They are lazy and irresponsible, the police. Not all of them, but the majority of them are lazy and irresponsible. And they are only interested in salaries.
Well, the frightening aspect to me of the South African Police Service is that they have access to guns. And the suggestion is that some of those guns are lost. In fact, I think thousands of guns have been lost since 1994 by police. Something like 1 million rounds of ammunition have gone missing since 1994. And then last month you had that big container with 1.5 million rounds of ammunition and apparently thousands of guns, which was in police custody, which just disappeared. How can that happen?
It shows you that the police are involved in these things. Most of the arms that they use in armed robberies and normal robberies are police firearms and army firearms. So where does this come from? You know that some police officials even hire out their own their firearms, the police arms. They hire out during weekends for people to do crime, and then they bring the firearms back. It's chaos. It's chaos concerning arms in this country.
Well, I've heard in KwaZulu-Natal that the hitmen, they're guys who go out and take someone out for a price. They've actually got someone in the police force who works with them. And what actually happens is that the person in the police force is tipped off as to where the murder is going to take place. So they park themselves conveniently near where the murder takes place. And they're the ones who get called out to go and respond to the murder. And of course, they botch the whole thing so that the evidence is contaminated. So they can't go ahead and arrest the person who committed the murder. The whole thing is just completely shocking at all levels.
Yeah, in general, the service of the police stations have declined since 1994. You know that the world started in 1994. Nothing happened before 1994 in South Africa. Officials sleep on duty. Yeah. Policemen are drunk on duty and even in uniform. Telephones are not being answered. There's an emergency number, a national emergency number, that's not being answered. Dockets disappear regularly. Cases are closed without reason. The South African police service in general are just incapable of fulfilling their task.
Now, how does this impact the judicial system?
Yeah, let's first go to our wonderful constitution that everybody is talking about. What is the obligation of the police according to this constitution? Let's read section 205 of the constitution. The objects of the SAPS, the South African Police Service, are to prevent, combat and investigate crime, to maintain public order, to protect and secure the inhabitants of the Republic and their property, and to uphold and to enforce the law. They don't do even one of these four aspects. So that's, as I said, the police cannot fulfill their obligation.
Well, I always say that Bekesele, the Minister of Police is the Hlaudi Motsoeneng of the South African ANC ministry. I'm talking about the members of parliament, because he's a complete joke. His highest academic qualification is a teacher's diploma. Can you believe it? He's got no experience in the police, and he's got a teacher's diploma, and here he is running the critically important police service at this time. What does that say to you about Ramaphosa and the way his cabinet is run?
Yeah, I think he's a very synthetic sort of president, you know. People had a lot of hope around him when he was appointed president, but nowadays they're very disappointed in certain of his speeches that he made, especially after the lootings. He didn't come up as a president that really want to secure the country.
Right.
And they say that the Commissioner of Police has recently said that the police cannot fulfill their obligation. So if if he says that, you know, then we're really in trouble.
Yeah, and apparently the Commissioner of Police and Bekesele are not the best of mates. In fact, they don't like each other.
No, they don't sit along the same fire. Yeah.
And that's not a good thing at all.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So what role do you think Bekesele actually plays when it comes to the police?
Well, all of the police officers, most of the police officers, I'd say 90% of them, are just interested in their salaries. That's all they're worried about. They must just get paid, and they don't have to do the job. They just want to get paid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's worse than that. I think that the corruption at the highest level in the police service is just something that hasn't actually been exposed yet. And I'm talking about with Bekesele, who, when he was a Commissioner of Police, he was actually fired from that job because of corruption, wasn't he?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of thousands of videos and photos going around of incapable policemen. So in South Africa, it's sort of a normal thing to see that daily.
Yeah. So I guess the point we're trying to make here is that this complete breakdown of the police service in South Africa, and the police service used to be one of the finest in the world pre-1994, and it's just gone steadily south, hasn't it, since then?
Yeah, especially administration in the police, you know, firearms. The police that control firearms under their control disappear like sweets in a nursery school. The police cannot even administer thousands of firearm applications. It is so far behind. Some people reckon it will take 50 years to catch up with this. So we ask, is this a way to disarm the people from legal firearms? Because nothing is being done about illegal firearms. Robberies take place with Army, Police, R4s, R5s, and R1 rifles, and nothing is being done about that. But they want to disarm the legal owners of firearms.
Well, that's exactly the next point I was getting to, because now they're trying to change the gun laws so that you can no longer have a license if you want to use a gun for self-defense. And when you consider that the police service is pretty well missing in action, how are citizens of South Africa expected to protect themselves?
I don't know why they think, how can we protect ourselves with the crime rate that we've got in this country? But what's going to happen then? The people are just going to keep their arms. Doesn't matter what administration is being done and not being done, they will just keep their firearms and they will use their firearms. And then it starts to become anarchy.
Yeah, well, I just want to make a statement here, and that is that when it came to the looting and the rioting in Durban a few weeks ago, it was really disturbing to me that the mainstream media in South Africa, and I'm talking about South African TV or SATV and Anchor and channels like that, were concentrating on what they called the racist actions of the community in Phoenix when they were defending their community. That seemed to be their obsession, rather than focusing on the problem with the policing.
That's right. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, what's that all about?
They would rather close neighborhoods watch booms instead of trying to prevent the lootings and to prevent the crime. They would rather do that. They would rather concentrate on a small group of white people and try to get them into trouble, that they are so-called not following laws.
Yeah. Now, I think the most disturbing video I saw amongst all those videos with the rioting and looting was a video where I think it was in Phoenix. They had this roadblock set up by the community to stop looters coming into their suburb. And you had this metropolitan police woman, very obnoxious, abusive, authoritarian. I think she was a brigadier or something like that. This is not the woman at Douglasdale. This happened in Gauteng. This happened in Durban, because there was one in Douglasdale in KwaZulu-Natal who was pretty much the same. But the woman in Durban, who was with the Metropolitan Police, came to this roadblock that they'd set up to protect their community and demanded that they take it all away. Now, don't you think under those circumstances that the community should just say, get out of our community? That's
more and more. They are going to do that more and more and more, because the police even confiscated some legal firearms from those people.
Yes, that's right, from the people defending the community. Because there was another group who defended their community south of Durban, and they heard that the provincial governor, or whatever he's called, was coming along to tell them to clear the road so that traffic could get through, and they just sent him packing. That was during the looting and the rioting as well. They just refused to move, and that was a white community who just stood their ground, and he eventually just went away and disappeared.
Yeah.
So really what we're saying, Franz, is that in a case of an emergency in South Africa, one, do not depend on your police. Just look what happened in KwaZulu-Natal and Durban. Two, have community watch groups established who know what to do. They can work together as a group and defend your suburb. And three, if you get some little police person who might actually be in on the deal with the looters, who tries to tell you to take your barricades away, you just ignore them and just keep protecting your community. What do you?
That's right.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. We have to do that. The thing that I'm afraid of is that this could culminate into a war between certain the police and the publics, because once the police cannot protect their own people and turn against their own people, this could be a civil war.
Well, the police would be outnumbered, and let's face it, from what you saw in Durban, the police missing in action completely, they haven't got what it takes to do the job, that's for sure. Now, do you think, talking about what happened in Durban, do you think police are actively involved in crime? No, I know the answer, but what are your thoughts?
Definitely. There's a lot of videos, there's a lot of photos and everything that we can prove that police. I even sent you a video of a police woman that was loading some stuff in a taxi during this looting, that she was also into the looting. And we know in South Africa, if you live here, you know that the majority of the police are into crime.
Yeah. Now, there's one very disturbing event that happened just a few days ago, Franz, and that was a warehouse in Gauteng was looted. And what they looted was food that lasted for a long-lasting food. And clearly they were using that to prepare or prepping for some kind of event. Do you think that there's going to be an outbreak against the Ramaphosa government in weeks to come with what's going on with Zuma and this fraction in between the two groups?
Yeah, well, the more incapable the government is and these security forces, the more people will try to do this, and this lootings can go on and on and on until there is anarchy in South Africa.
Yeah, because what happened in, just for people who don't know this, what happened in Sudan and Ethiopia was for years you had warlords who actually controlled parts of a city or a town, and they used to drive around with armored cars and shoot at people who were in the street and stuff like that.
Bakkies with machine guns on it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that South Africa's got a risk of falling into that sort of situation?
Well, that's what we are preparing for. We are preparing for a situation like that if it happens. It's difficult to say it's gonna happen, to predict it, but it's the best to prepare yourself for it.
Yeah. Well, what's your message to armchair warriors? The guys, the family man who's sitting at home right now watching this, who's saying, it's never going to happen. I'm not going to get involved. I'm just going to sit and watch the rugby. Well, what's your comment?
Yeah, well, a lot of people said that in the past. A lot of people said that, and they never thought that a thing like this lootings could happen in South Africa. And now it happened, and we were proved right that it is going to happen, and it's going. There's in South Africa, I think 30%, more than 30% of the people are jobless.
Yeah, and they're hungry.
Yeah. And what will they do if they're hungry? They will loot. That's what they do now. That's what they did now. Whether it was political inspired or not, and if it was just a spontaneous thing that happened, I don't know. But I know that a lot of them are hungry. And when a hungry man is hungry, he will do anything to get food for the people around, for himself and the people around him.
Yeah, so basically what we're saying to anyone who's listening to this right now is if you're not part of a neighborhood watch group, or a community watch group or some watch group where you actively work together to defend yourself and your family, then you're a flaming idiot.
That's right, yeah. You have to get involved with everybody around you, because when this state security forces turn against their own law-abiding citizens, it can culminate into a failed state and eventually into anarchy.
Well, I guess, there's always a silver lining with every dark cloud, and I think the silver lining is that the Western Cape, under those circumstances, would probably just proclaim a UDI against the rest of South Africa.
There's a lot of organizations that are trying to claim a UDI, and the more things like this looting happens, the more it seems to be possible.
Yeah. Well, I just wish these groups would get their act together and work together, because Eendracht macht. And look, I've spoken to all the leaders. I've spoken to all the leaders of these independence movements, and there are a couple of them who are big. They're big groups. They're very influential, but they've got a little petty issue that happened some time ago, and it's just put the past behind you. If you can't work together, it's like what's happening with the ANC right now. They're fractured and they're just collapsing.
Yeah, we are a lot of guys. I actually spoke to some of the organizations this morning, and we are a lot of organizations that's coming together and at least speak to each other now. So it's happening.
Well, that's good to hear. Now, okay. Now, we know that the police didn't do their job during the recent looting, and we know that the police were involved in the lootings that happened last month. The really serious issue to me when it comes to policing in South Africa, and I'm not just talking about the South African Police Service, I'm talking about the citizens policing their own community, is the fact that the police seem to have gone feral, because they're handing out guns and ammunition to criminals, as you say, renting them out over the weekend and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you've got that 1.5 million rounds that just went missing a few weeks ago. Those bullets kill people.
That spells revolution.
Sorry, you said?
I said that spells revolution.
So you think they're planning a revolution, do you?
Yes, I think they're planning, definitely. They're planning it, yeah.
Now, which particular group do you think's behind this?
Well,
is it the EFF?
You know, a lot of people think that the ANC and the EFF are two different organizations. They are not. The one is actually just a branch from the other one. Still, although they function separately, the one is still just a branch of the other one.
Well, look, I'd go no further than the fact that Julius Malema flew into Nkandla to spend some time with Jacob Zuma, who is supposedly one of the ANC leaders. You know, clearly they have a close association. It's just the faction that we're talking about.
Yeah, at first, you can remember a couple of months ago, he shouted, Zuma must fall, you know, everything. And now all of a sudden, he go and he meet Zuma at his Nkandla home. What does that spell? I mean, what is the guy trying to do? The one moment he says this, the next moment he says that.
Yeah. Well, you never trust a politician. That's how simple it is.
Well, that we know,
yeah. Now, do you think that the police will assist citizens who want to protect their loved ones and their property if these lootings break out around the country?
No, they will never. They will go on the way they go on now. They haven't got the capability. They haven't got the will. And sometimes they haven't got the intellect to do that.
Yeah.
As I said, you know, the only thing they are interested in is getting salary at the end of the month. They don't compare that to the work they must do.
And I think we should say, Frans, that there are still some very, very good police in the South African police service who are trying to do their jobs. But unfortunately, it's the bad eggs. It's the bad eggs who are just destroying the whole credibility of the police service.
Yeah. A couple of months ago, we were involved in the Senegal incident. I don't know if you can remember that.
I do. I covered it, yeah.
And we worked with the local police there, and we had very good cooperation with the local police there. The one guy was a Lieutenant Colonel Kemp, and you know, he gave us everything we asked, all information that we needed. So we, in certain, especially on the rural areas, the platteland, you know, you get very good cooperation with the police, but in the cities, it's really bad. It's really bad.
Yeah. Now, don't you think it's important then that a group like yourself should actually set up a database of police stations that cannot be trusted, like Douglasdale in Gauteng, and police stations that are good, that can be trusted, so that people know where to stay away from and which police stations they will be helped in? Because I think that's the problem. People have a problem.
That's a very good idea, Scott. That's a very good idea. I think I'm going to set up some of our old policemen to do that for us, to set up a database. I think that's great.
Yeah, and just have a 1 to 10 rating. So if they're really bad, they get a 1 rating, and if they're really good, they get a 10 rating, and then like you send that out to people so they know where they can be safe.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what is the answer? What should people do to protect themselves and their loved ones in the time of anarchy? I mean, we've talked about watch groups. What's your best advice for people?
Scott, there's no other way than to protect ourselves. So firstly, you have to do some training, some private training, but we have to do this in an orderly manner. And that's why I said, you know, forming neighborhood watches, forming watches, farm watches, and in our case, watch groups. But we have to do this in a very disciplined way. You can only be successful if you do it in a disciplined way. That's the main issue, is discipline.
Right. Okay. So basically, Okay, look, it makes sense. And I've been saying on this channel for years now, people, you've got to join a community watch group or a neighborhood watch group, because when the shit hits the fan, it's too late to sort of start looking around and looking for support. If you've
Yeah,
built that community relationship, you all know your roles to play. In an event of a crisis, you can get together and you can fight back, but you can't do it if you don't have that community policing in place.
yeah. No, that's true. That's what I'm trying to say the whole evening.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Now, we've talked about revolution and anarchy and stuff like that. Do you think there's any chance for South Africa to escape those options?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. I'm not a prophet, so it's difficult to say. It depends on what's going to happen. A little fire can set alight a whole city, like you've seen in Durban. Yeah. It's difficult to say.
I just wish that in the Western Cape they hadn't set up a shadow government, for South Africa or for that area. So in the event that Gauteng, for example, completely goes cactus, the Western Cape, while all this craziness is happening, can basically secede and just start rebuilding that area, and then perhaps latching on parts like the Northern Cape into it, the Free State, etc., while the craziness carries on into, because we let's face it, we're going back to 1652, aren't we? Or pre-1652.
Yeah. No, it is. It's really difficult times.
Yeah, it's really crazy. All right. Now, guys, if you're going to be here's a question from Marius. What weapons are they allowed to carry when they're patrolling the neighborhoods? I guess we're talking about community watch groups.
Yeah, well, their own registered firearms. They're allowed to carry that around, whether it's a long weapon or a hand weapon. They can carry that around, but it must be covered. Of course, that was the reason why the police confiscated those arms at those booms in Durban. They said the guy's firearms wasn't covered, But how do you cover a 303 rifle? How do you cover that?
Yeah.
And what's the reason for covering it? There's no reason for covering it. But the law says it must be covered.
Okay, so the police use the law for their own benefit when they want to, and then just ignore it when they want to.
So they don't want to, they change their minds, yeah.
Wow. Okay, now tell me, Franz, why do you wear an army uniform?
As I said before, Scott, I was involved in the citizen force, and a lot of people don't know the difference between the army and the citizen force. The army is a very strict military organization, where the citizen force is very casual, Piet from the corporatie was somewhere appointed the commandant of the area, and so the people know each other in the area, And if we want to have order in this neighborhood watches and watch groups that we are forming now, it's very, very important that there's a system and a sort of a military system. That's why we're using it, especially for discipline. Because in my nation, in the Boer nation, that's one of our biggest problems, is discipline. So we have to discipline the guys, and the only way you can do that is with a military system.
Right. Well, Audrey Golden's asked a question related to that, and he says, why do the commandos not get involved with Boereligion, who are strong and building a similar type of concept?
We are. Look, the only thing is, each and every organization has got its own characters, and to get together, you have to bridge those characters, and try to work together with each other. We haven't got a problem with Boerelegioen. The only thing is we are trained much better than those guys. The leader of Boerelegioen is actually an old policeman, where we are old army guys. And that's one of the differences.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, General Isaac van Zyl is a very good friend of the Loving Life family, and I think that what he started is certainly, especially in the mid-round, I think they're very strong. But yeah, it would be great if, like I was just saying now, where you've got different Cape independence groups who are not talking to each other, it'd be great if these groups like yours and et cetera, really started building that Eendracht Macht, because it's getting to that stage where one's got to do that.
No, we have to work together. There's no other way.
Yeah. Now, how many people, or yeah, I guess I shouldn't ask you that question. I was going to say, how many people are involved in your organization?
No, we've got a sort of permanent membership, and then we've got a lot of sort of friends. You know, they just call themselves friends with the Kommandokorps, and yeah, but we concentrate on very good training. So we do not concentrate so much on membership and those sort of things. You know. We concentrate on quality training.
Well, I have to tell you, Frans, that running my Loving Life TV platform, what I'm learning very fast as it expands very fast, that I need to get quality people in my team to take up different roles like marketing and stuff like that. And, you know, if you look at Boerelegioen, they're a natural potential arm for an association with you, because they are good at getting the message out there. They might not have the same specific skills as you do, but I think they're doing a great job. And if you're interested, I would be happy to put a message out to Isaac to you know, make contact with you, because I think at this stage everybody's got to be working together.
Yeah, but I think that must be in private, you know.
Yeah.
Do
look,
that live or on TV or so. We must do that privately.
Yeah, obviously. Look, I'm not suggesting you speak publicly, but I'm just offering you the thought that if that's of interest, I could certainly make the approach.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
No,
we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that later.
I was actually in hospital a couple of months.
Yeah. Now,
and then I wish him luck.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Jason Arbin has asked, can the Colonel tell us about 32 Battalion? What's 32 Battalion?
Yeah, there's a lot of old people, old soldiers that used to be in 32 Battalion, which is a very specialized battalion that did a lot of operations on the border and into Angola and into the ex-Rhodesia or Zimbabwe. So yes, they were very good soldiers. They were regarded some of the best soldiers in this country. Right.
Now, Frans, are you the fellow in charge of Kommandokorps?
Yeah, that's right. I'm basically well, it's a company, so I'm actually the CEO.
Right. Okay. All right. I'm just going through some of the questions that are coming through at the moment. Nationalist Commando has said, how does one become a member of the Kommandokorps?
Well, you could just contact that website that I gave you. That's
I've just put it in the side chat. That's commando-corps.co.za.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now, Michaela's asked, are there commandos in all provinces?
Well, we haven't got so much areas where we've got watch groups as in Transvaal. We've got the most in Transvaal and in the Free State, which is basically the old Boer republics. And further, we've just got watch groups. That's why we are forming these watch groups now. You know, people tend to wait till number 99 before they get involved, and that is what's happening now. And I'm sure you can speak to all the other organizations that you've spoken to, and they will admit this, that the people are only getting involved now.
Yeah, and often it's too late. And seriously, we're sitting on the cusp of something very weird, not just happening in South Africa, happening around the world. I put up a video this morning on lovinglifetv.com, which I could not put up on YouTube because it would be too hot for Google to allow it to stay up there. But it clearly identifies this who's behind the Great Reset that they're all talking about now. It's a absolutely amazing insight into what they have planned for us. Now, Jackie Waters has asked, can the Colonel tell us if there are people in Port Elizabeth, I guess associated with the Kommandokorps?
Yeah, there are a small group there. Not a very large group, a small group of, I think, about 15 guys.
Okay, now take that person's situation. If she goes to the commandokorps.co.za website, would she be able to, from that website, make communication with the group in PE?
Yeah, in certain areas you can.
Okay, but
as I said, there's certain areas where we are strong, other areas not.
Yeah, this is why you need to work with other groups. Now.
Yeah.
Okay, now getting back to Jackie. Jackie, if you go to commandokorps.co.za, and I take it there's an email contact there, Franz, that she can send an email to and say, look, I want to get involved with the PE group. You would send her a contact cell phone number or something like that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
I'll contact my administration office tomorrow about that.
Okay. All right, Jackie, so that's a way to go there. Dion Gerber says, they don't accept me. I'm ex-Navy and won't sacrifice my uniform. Is that true?
No, not everybody in the Kommandokorps wears uniform. It's only the officers and the adjutants that we trained and trained very well that are using uniforms. The majority of the Kommandokorps members are just plain common people that use the civil dresses. So it's a misperception that everybody must wear a uniform. It's not true.
Right. Now, Nationalist Commando says, are there any Kommandokorps in Kimberley? I guess there would be, because that's sort of traditionally.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I have to speak to my administration often. I don't know all the people everywhere.
Yeah.
But they mustn't ask that. That's the wrong question to ask. Is there any commando in the area? What they must say is, I want to start a commando. That is what they must say.
Right. Okay. Well, look.
Firstly, they must start a watch group, and then later that can progress into a commando.
Right. Well, I think we're running out of time for going through all the steps. Okay. So Nationalist Commando, the answer there is just go to the website and send an email off and get involved in the discussion.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to go. Alrighty, look, Franz, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Look, but before we wrap up this live stream, please just run through the steps people listening to the live stream tonight should go through in the event that they feel they're being threatened by rioters in their suburbs. What are the key steps? What are the things they should do and they shouldn't do?
Well, once for all, they mustn't go into areas that they know is difficult areas or dangerous areas to go into, like the Midtown Durban, Midtown Johannesburg, Midtown Port Elizabeth, Midtown Cape Town. Stay out of those areas. And then there's a lot of small things, that I can say. If you stop behind another car, you must at least stop 3-4 meters from that guy. Things like that. But that's very nitty-gritty stuff,
Yeah. Okay. But okay. So I'm talking about defending. Let's say I lived in Phoenix. Okay. Now there's this threat by the economic freedom fighters that they're going to protest and cause trouble in my suburb. What should I do? And what shouldn't I do specifically to protect Phoenix from those people?
Well, first you must get involved with your neighbors. You must get support. You must get logistics. You must get weapons. You don't give your weapon to the police. You know, I'm so cross for those people that gave their weapons to the police. They could just as well give the weapon to the criminal directly. Why do they use the police to give the weapon to the criminal, the firearm?
All right, but what I was really asking you, Franz, is should they set up barricades on the roads? Should they have people manning those barricades? This is what I'm talking about when I say what should they do and what shouldn't they do. Because if they're going to come tomorrow, they need to know tonight. They can't wait to set up a group.
Firstly, they must support and safeguard their own people, and then it rings out to the neighborhood. And then they must protect the whole neighborhood. And they can't do it alone. They must get the people involved to do that. And the various neighborhoods have each got their own sort of character.
Right.
Like you said now, the Pioneer area or some of the Indian areas have got a character of their own. So has Afrikaans suburbs got a character of their own. So those people that's got the same faith and the people that's got the same into the same culture group, they must get together and they must form a watch group.
Right. Now, okay. I just want to be very clear, because this is something that a lot of people really do not understand, because the laws in South Africa are so confusing about this. If I'm defending my home and 2 or 3 Africans come to the door with pangas and they're knocking my door down, they're obviously going to loot my house, and they're going to perhaps do things that we don't want to talk about to my family, and I've got a gun. At what point can I actually use that gun to defend myself?
You know, if they come to you, say for instance, and I spoke to our advocate a couple of days ago, if they come to your home and you've got, for instance, you've got a thatch roof and they've got a torch there with flames and everything, and they come towards you, you can shoot them because they want to burn down your home, and that can result into your death and your beloved one's death. So you shoot them. You shoot them. Your life is in danger. Whenever your life or somebody in your vicinity's life is in danger, you shoot them.
So really what we're talking about is common sense. You don't think at that point in time, oh, what are the legal ramifications if I shoot this person who's attacking me? You just protect yourself. That's what we're talking about.
Forget about the legal ramifications. You can think about that later. First, you must protect your life.
Right. Okay. So basically, that's a pretty obvious answer. But I think a lot of people are worried at that point in time. Oh, am I going to be in trouble? Well, you could be in a whole lot more trouble if you don't take that action.
You're being killed because you thought too much. You took too long.
Yeah.
And then you are being killed.
Yeah. All right. Look, Franz, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope that your comments and advice has been useful to people listening. And guys, remember that there's a website. I'll actually put the website address below this video in the description as well. And if you want to find out more about Kommandokorps, please just contact them by email. And Franz is looking for people to set up Kommandokorps in different parts of South Africa. So he's your go-to man. And let's see what happens. Franz, is there something you'd like to say in just wrapping up this live stream?
Yeah, I can just say again, get involved in the people around you.
Right. Okay.
And I hope everybody understood me, because English is not my mother tongue. But
you did very well. You did very well.
Well, I tried to.
Yeah. All righty. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Franz.
Thanks, Scott. Have a nice day.
Thank you. All right, guys. That was a pleasure speaking to Franz. So if you're interested in getting involved in the Kommandokorps, please just send them an email. I'll put the website address down below this video. And look, seriously, guys, if you're sitting there in front of the TV and you don't even know who your neighbors are, and you got a family, and you're just saying, leave it for another day. I can't say this loud enough. You've got to act right now. Tomorrow morning, you've got to go and knock on your neighbor's door and introduce yourself and say, hey, we've got to start protecting our community. And they might know where there's a community watch group, or so get involved. That's my point, because the last thing in the world you want is to hear a marauding bunch of rioters coming down the road towards your house and you haven't got any community support. Don't let that happen. Act now. Alrighty, I'm going to wrap up this live stream. Please remember to subscribe to Loving Life on YouTube. And if you want videos that I can't publish on Loving Life on YouTube, you've got to register on lovinglifetv.com. That's the platform we are transitioning to, because there I can talk about subjects that are taboo here on Google, YouTube. And I probably put up 2 or 3 videos a day on lovinglifetv.com that I cannot put up on YouTube for obvious reasons. Alrighty, I'm going to wrap up this live stream. Please remember to, as I said, register on lovinglifetv.com. I'll leave the side chat open for a few minutes so that people can say goodbye. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Johannesburg time when we discuss another subject.